we finally reached it. The end of the concept album for Epic the Musical. And I know I haven't really made much Epic related content on here. I didn't do any reactions. I just did that one person who can't sing tries to do a song cover of Ruthlessness at some point last year. But I have been keeping up with it. That's somewhere between Ocean Saga and Circe Saga is whenever I started listening to it. But before that, I had heard Survive and Just a Man, but out of context. So, let's rank everything. I don't think anything's going to go into the F tier. D tier, I would assume not, but we'll see. I don't think so. I love every song to some extent. They're not all an equal amount of love, but I do love all of them. And all of them are on my listening playlist. So, yeah. Horse and the Infant, I think, goes into B tier. Because it is a really good opener. But at times I do kind of find myself being like, okay, let's go ahead and let's get to the next song. Because it's a good opener, but it's not one of the ones that I prefer to listen to. Just a Man, S tier. Actually, I should do what I normally do. Okay, there. Now this is correct. I don't know why I didn't do that whenever I was adjusting the tiers earlier anyway. That's saved for the number one spot. Just a Man, S tier. Everything about Just a Man is perfect. It's the perfect setup for what is the constant theme throughout the entire musical. It's a great standalone song, having listened to it on its own out of context a few times before actually listening to the musical itself. Love it. Love it. Full Speed Ahead. I think it has the same things as Horse and the Infant, but I like listening to it more, so A. Open Arms. I'm gonna go with A. I'm not as enamored with Open Arms as a lot of other people are, but I do still really enjoy it. It's not quite S, but it's still really good. Warrior of the Mind, S. Come on. Come on. Is there any explanation that I need to give for Warrior of the Mind being S? Is there? Tegan has such a powerful voice as Athena. It's amazing. And the origin of Athena and Odysseus meeting is absolute perfection. I love it. Polyphemus. I feel like I like this one a lot more than other people do. I don't see a lot of love for this song. I'm gonna go A. I like Polyphemus's slow, like, talk singing. And I love the, is melody the word that I want to go for here? In regards to just how it flows. I just really enjoy it, and I feel like it's underrated. And I think Survive is on the same tier as it. And Survive is a lot more enjoyed, I think. Remember Them. That might also go in the same tier. I think Remember Them also goes in the same tier. Yeah. All of Cyclops Saga is really good. And of course, My Goodbye is another Tegan S tier, of course. Storm has the same thing as Horse and the Infant. It's a good listen, but I'm ready to move on to the next one, but I also don't want to skip it because it's too good to skip, but everything else is more exciting. Luck Runs Out, A, close to S. I don't rank them in between the individual tiers. I normally don't see much of a reason to do that. I understand why people do it, I just don't. If I did, it would be up here as a higher A, though. Keep Your Friends Close. Yeah, that's also an A. Ruthlessness. Ruthlessness. Now, you might be thinking, oh, since this is the one song that I've done anything with, it's my favorite. Well, it was at the time. A more recent song took over. But it's still S tier. It's still... I love everything about Ruthlessness, though. I love it. Except one thing. I do think the all I've got to do is open this bag line is way too upbeat for what just happened. I feel like he's a little too excited at his get out of jail free card, considering a lot of death still just happened. I don't like how upbeat that line is delivered. That's the only critique I have of that song, and one of the only critiques I have of the whole... I don't even know that I can think of many other critiques I have for the whole thing. But it's a little bit jarring. But everything else about that song is chef's kiss. Puppeteer. Everything in the Circe saga is so good. Everything in the Circe saga is so good. Yeah. A tier. Wouldn't You Like, I think, has to go in S. I love Troy's delivery as Hermes. Everything about Troy's Hermes is just perfect. So you already have a feel for where Dangerous is gonna go. Done For. A tier, because it's really good, but yeah, because I don't have the same thing with these two. Yeah, it goes into A. Most of them are in A. I guess I should not be surprised. Because there's not a bad song here. We don't even have anything in C. I thought there might have been one in D tier. There's not even anything in C yet. Granted, we're not halfway through, but we're so damn close that it may as well be. There Are Other Ways is an S tier just for Talia, is that her name? Who plays Circe? Her performance in There Are Other Ways is phenomenal. The Underworld. No, it doesn't have that same problem as the B tier ones. It doesn't have it, even though it's my least favorite of that saga, it's still better than those two. Yeah. This is not a very interesting list. Everything is so high up. Oh, No Longer You is also an A tier. I love that it feels so different from anything else in the musical. Oh yeah. It's not spread out enough, and I don't know how to fix it. Okay, hold on. I think I might have an idea of how we fix this. Okay, this might be a little bit better. Now we can do some reorganizing. These guys go down to B tier. Okay. Open Arms goes into the A tier, not A minus, A tier. You know what? Now I don't even remember what I was saying about some of these a minute ago, but like, I feel like I like Survive a little bit less than Polyphemus. But Remember Them stays up there. I'll move Underworld down to here. No, Underworld goes in A minus. Okay, this is better. Okay, yes, this is much better. It's so difficult when there's not anything bad. It's not like ranking Ben 10 Aliens where it's like, yes, Forearms goes at the bottom. Monster, S. There's no debating that. I listened to that on loop so much after Underworld Saga came out. Mutiny. That's not Mutiny. That's Suffering. Mutiny's a little while later. I don't know why I said Mutiny. Suffering. A. Because it's good. Everything is good. I don't know why I keep saying it's good. Oh yeah, a surprise, an epic, the musical song is good. It just doesn't hit any of these other ones. Different Beast. I think I'm gonna put it in the same one. No, I'm gonna put Suffering down one. Because I like Different Beast more, but I don't like Different Beast enough to put it up here. Scylla goes in the same one as Different Beast. Scylla is a haunting song, as it should be, and I love it. Mutiny is an A+. Is it an A+? No, it is an S. Mutiny is an S tier. It almost feels like two different songs, and I have that as a plus. I feel like some people might consider that like a detracting factor, that it should be split into two different songs. Mortius, but it wasn't that funny. That wasn't that funny. Kind of is. But I think it's a plus. I think it balances it really well. It makes Thunder Saga feel like it's a song longer than it is, and I like that. But speaking of Thunder, Thunderbringer's my favorite. It fought with ruthlessness so hard to get that top spot. I was just like, for the longest time I was like, I don't want to make it the favorite. I want Ruthlessness to be the favorite because Poseidon's the ocean guy, and I like ocean-related characters. Favorite Pokemon, Squirtle. Favorite superhero, Aquaman. Favorite Ben 10 alien, Ripjaws. No, Thunderbringer's just so much better. I say so much as if there's really that much of a difference. It's just... I feel like Zeus doing less somehow shows more power than Poseidon doing more, and I don't know how to explain that. And I have a weird affinity for like somber endings. I like seeing stories that aren't, I mean, obviously like the full epic, the musical, doesn't have a somber ending, but that specific song does. So that portion of the story isn't shying away from the idea of, hey, not everything is a happy ending. I mean, honestly, Epic's ending is very bittersweet anyway because of all of the lives that it took to get Odysseus home. But I like whenever a story isn't afraid to shy away from that. That it's not always the good guys win. And it also, it's very Infinity War, I feel. It has a very Infinity War vibe to it. And that's one of my favorite movies, so yeah, I like it a lot. And Luke Holtz, oh, amazing in that song. Legendary is A. It's very fun to sing along to, and I like the characterization of Telemachus. Little Wolf, A. I was gonna go a little bit lower, because I feel like this song isn't the better usage of Aaron Alexander. But it's so melodic. I love the chorus to Little Wolf. And I love that the animatic is like a fighting game. We'll be fine. I'll put it in the same tier. It's nice to listen to. And it's very sweet, the friendship that forms between Athena and Telemachus. Love in Paradise. It sounds very good, and I really love the emotional weight. Oh, God. Do I put it in A too, just because it has a lot of good emotional weight? Why don't I have anything in A+ yet for this one? That might go in there just because of the emotional weight that song holds. Yeah, Love in Paradise goes into A+. And God Games, S. There's nothing more to say about God Games. Another Luke Holt plus Tegan plus all of the other gods getting, well, a few of the other gods getting some cameos. I really enjoyed it. And I've listened to it on repeat several times. And I adored the flashback so much. Athena holding Telemachus and that kind of being like the thing that gives her strength back, just enough to do like the Wonder Woman thing. I feel like Having listened to Tegan's Mother songs, that scene hits a little bit different, I feel. At least the perspective that I'm looking at it with the themes and story that happens in the Mother songs, which, if you haven't heard the Mother songs, they're phenomenal, absolutely. But I feel like the flashback in God Games, it hits different for something that's unrelated aside from one of the singers. It's just, I don't know. If you get it, you get it. That's all I can really say. Now, probably the most controversial epic song, Not Sorry for Loving You. This is a difficult song to talk about. The subject matter is just... Okay. So I can't speak to the Odysseus perspective. I'm well aware of what Calypso does to Odysseus. I can't speak to the Odysseus perspective because I have not had that kind of experience. However, I used to speak in the way that Calypso speaks in this song. When I was younger, I used to be a lot more of a guilt tripper, and it's had a lasting effect to where I'm very anxious about anyone actually taking what I say as it being genuine, because I'm worried that I'm just going to fall back into guilt tripping. And Calypso's lyrics are so that. And if it came from someone that didn't do the things that Calypso did, they wouldn't be that. But they are. But it's such a good sounding song is the problem. I feel like I'm going to put it in it. I don't know. This is a difficult one to do. Especially because I feel like giving us the perspective of Calypso is still important. I feel like just because Calypso has done things reprehensible, that we can't understand the situation that she was in that led her to be this way, because I don't know. I mean, yes, she's not immortal, but like, you could take the lesson of Calypso and like, hey, let's not do this to somebody, because then they might also do the Calypso thing of hurting somebody else because of their situation. So I do think that it's important to have that perspective on it, but I'm gonna go with A. I'm just gonna go with A. That's A minus. I want to go with A. Yeah. It's a very good sounding song, and I think that getting that perspective from Calypso has an importance, but I know that it's a very controversial song because it almost seems like we're supposed to be on her side a little bit. At least some people think that. I don't necessarily think that we're supposed to be on her side with it. I think that it is like a cautionary tale of like, someone being treated the way Calypso was treated can lead into that person then treating someone the way Calypso treated Odysseus. And I feel like we couldn't not have it, because him being trapped on Calypso's island is something that's important, and just skipping to him already leaving wouldn't work. Dangerous. S. Come on. Same thing as when you're like, Troy is just so good as Hermes. Their performance is so good. I should have mentioned this with God Games. I love the little skit that Troy did of Hermes during God Games. That is such such a brilliant video. I absolutely love it. Oh, it is phenomenal. Charybdis. Charybdis is a weird one. Because it is definitely like Odysseus. Odysseus has to play a little bit safer against Charybdis because he doesn't have anything to fight her, but it does kind of result in an uneventful song. It's kind of only held up by the visuals, I feel. So, which is just kind of weird because 600 Strike is also that, but I think higher of 600 Strike than Charybdis. But I'm gonna put Charybdis down here. Vinland Saga is interesting because it seems like a lot of people were underwhelmed by it initially and then grew to enjoy it a lot more, which isn't really something that's happened across like the other sagas. The other sagas have kind of like been like an immediate, oh yeah, this is it, chief. Is Get in the Water as good as Ruthlessness? I don't think that it is, but I feel like they do belong in the same tier. I feel like Get in the Water, while not as good as Ruthlessness, still deserves that S tier. It's still a really good song that is like, it shows the power and wrath of Poseidon. I don't think as well as Ruthlessness because Ruthlessness has that huge body count. I still feel like it's all there, but we don't get like as much of it so directly. But I do think that it's like having it be that Odysseus chooses to get in the water or not is definitely a power play by Poseidon. Be like, it's not that different. Not that different from Thunderbringer as far as it goes, where it's like, no, you gotta choose. One of them's gonna happen, and you're gonna choose. 600 Strike. Now I know that I said that Charybdis feels like it's more action than song, and therefore benefits more from the visuals. And in a way, 600 Strike does too. But the ending to 600 Strike is just so perfect. It's just so perfect. I'll go A. I'll go A+. Just to keep it fair with Charybdis, so that they're not on such opposite extremes, even though there's like overlap with why Charybdis is so low. But 600 Strike's ending is just too good. Now we get to the Ithaca saga. A saga that has yet to fail to make me cry. I have cried every single time that I have listened to the Ithaca saga. The challenge. A+. I'm going A+ on this one. I don't remember the name of Penelope's voice actress, but she does so good with this song. She is amazing with this song. Hold Them Down. So I have thoughts on Hold Them Down. And I am going to make a very, very, like, potentially polarizing decision to put Hold Them Down into S tier. Let's be clear that the stuff that Antinous is singing about doing, obviously, is absolutely reprehensible. It is a villain song. That is the point. It is just the best usage of Aaron Alexander out of all of the times that he gets to sing in this show. He puts so much into this song and into Antinous as a character. It is wild. Like, I don't like that whenever I listen to it, I sing along because of what I'm singing. I can't help it because he has such a good voice that is utilized so well in this song. And it's just a marvelous villain song. You get the full picture. It was only kind of like hinted at beforehand. I know you get like the full picture of just how absolutely abhorrent he is, and it's almost fascinating in a like dark way. Like there's a bit of a morbid fascination with like why does he, like, I mean, they're all very much like, hey, this is taking forever, pick somebody already. But he in particular seems to feel entitled to be the one to get with Penelope. And I don't know, there's just a fascination with like that kind of mindset and be like, where does something go so wrong that you end up feeling entitled to that, to be willing to go to those lengths to get it? And it's also interesting that like he is like so able to rally everyone else behind him. I don't know. I have like a weird like villain fascination with him, but like not one that I'm like really happy that I have because subject matter. It's a lot like having a fascination with Adam Taurus and Ruby. It's like, yeah, there's intrigue to how someone becomes that depraved, but also they are that depraved. So it's not a great feeling having that kind of fascination. I will fully admit, but yeah, it goes in there because it's just a really good villain song, and Aaron does a really good job with it. Odysseus, S tier. Oh, this song is so just encapsulates basically everything that he's learned. So he takes them all down with archery, kind of like how he used his bow to take down the sirens. You have the chorus singing Odysseus in the same way that they were singing Polyphemus over in Polyphemus' song. There's Keep Your Head Low, he's aiming for the torches. Which is, of course, a Scylla reference. I may be about to make a stretch here. Keep your head low, he's aiming for the torches. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. There's no way, right? Am I reading too much into that? I might be reading too much into that. I don't know. It's not like back during like God games where it's like Hephaestus has the same thing as Mutiny. There is no price he won't pay. Trust is not given, it's forged. It's the same thing there. I think I might be stretching here, but I don't know. The song has so many callbacks to so many other songs throughout the journey that it may as well be, honestly. And of course, there's also the legendary motif that comes in because Telemachus shows up. I also just... one dude just walking in and slaughtering over 100 people is just... it is a wild mental image. But also, I've done that in Skyrim. I've done that in Skyrim, so it's not like it's entirely unheard of, but yeah. I can't help but wonder. I feel like this one goes into A+. It's a very, very good song, very heartwarming to finally get to have Odysseus and Telemachus meet and discuss things with each other. after 20 years of Odysseus being away and Telemachus not knowing anything about him. Honestly, Odysseus not knowing anything about Telemachus. And I feel like the thing I like most, though, is the Athena verse at the end. It's kind of a awe-inspiring, like, almost existential verse of, like, where she's like, there's gotta be something better than this. And Odysseus is like, well, I'm not gonna be a part of that. You can, though. And I feel like it's almost like Athena trying to discuss our world. I say almost because it's not like our world is held with as much empathy as it should be. Arguably more empathy than what the events of this story would have us believe. But even more than that, of what we could eventually be, even now, all this time later after the story. And it's like, the individuals, Odysseus, aren't going to be able to live forever to see that world. But the concept, Athena, is an immortal concept that can eventually happen. Would you fall in love with me again? I'm getting a lot more like vocal about these later ones, and I'm not sure if it's just because I've put more thought into them recently than I have the older ones, where most of my thoughts are ones that I've just already had, and I didn't really feel like discussing all that in depth, whereas I haven't really had a chance to discuss the Ithaca saga. But Would You Fall in Love With Me Again is an S tier. This is the song that breaks me every time. Take that wedding bed far away from here. The only way to remove it is to cut it from its roots. Only my husband knew that, so I guess that means he's you. Destroyed me. It absolutely destroyed me. I am a wreck every time. I don't know how to word it. I really don't know how to word my full thoughts on why that breaks me down, but you probably get it. Oh. But also, I feel like that's a double meaning. So the bed is carved into the olive tree itself. It's not just he cut down the tree and then used what he cut to make the bed. It's carved into the olive tree itself, from what I understand. So it's cut and then carved the bed into basically the stump, and then the palace is built around the stump. And so that's why he says the only way to remove it is to cut it from its roots, because he would have to lift it from its roots, but it's also a double meaning. The importance of the roots as in its origins. The only way to remove it is to cut it not just from the physical, literal roots that hold it to the ground, but also the emotional roots that tie it to Penelope and Odysseus. It's so genius. And just the triumphant music is that's the next part that breaks me, is just the triumphant version of Just a Man playing is honestly, if it weren't for Thunderbringer, that might be my favorite. I know I said that I like stories that end on more somber notes, that are not everything turns out well, but again, another thing I said was that the Odyssey's ending is bittersweet, because yes, Odysseus makes it home, but look what it costs, you know? Anyway, let me see how much I can zoom in to make this a little bit better. I don't know how much OBS is capturing. Might could go a little bit more. I always have OBS zoomed out further on Tier Maker, because it's always gone out of frame. But maybe I'll put up an image. I'll put up an image that's a little bit clearer as to what my ranking is. And this is just the concept album. who knows what all might be adjusted or altered for whatever the actual final version of Epic is going to look like whenever they decide to get to it. Very excited for what else Jorge is going to be doing at some point later on. Everything here was absolutely brilliant. I've loved all of the everything. I've just loved everything. All of the motifs, all of the themes, all of the voices are phenomenal. Everything's great. I love everything about this musical. I normally have like a thing, like kind of just a general like rule that I follow personally, which is I don't like to listen to musicals before I've actually gotten to see them. Like there are a few exceptions. Like I had seen theatrical Phantom of the Opera before going to see it as a stage play, so that doesn't really count. Aladdin doesn't really count, but like I didn't know any Wicked songs before I saw Wicked. Not the theatrical version. I mean like stage play musical Wicked. I didn't know any songs from it. I had heard a few Hamilton before going to see it, but then like Book of Mormon, Percy Jackson, Les Mis, I didn't really know any songs before going in to see them. And as a general rule, I keep that because I want to be able to have the experience of watching it live be my first look at it. Can't do that here because it doesn't, that final version doesn't exist yet, so didn't have much of a choice. But I've loved every step of the way. It has been, I haven't been here the whole time, but I've been here over half, at least as far as saga numbers are concerned. I don't know. I actually don't know how long it took to get from the first bit to now. But it's been really fun. I've only been here this last year. Let me word it like that. I've only been here over the last year. But I have thoroughly enjoyed it. And I listen to this musical so much. I love it. In general, the Odyssey is a story that, like, even though I, like, fell out of familiarity with it, it is one that once I was introduced to it initially, about a decade ago, I've really loved it. I just kind of fell out of familiarity and forgot a lot of stuff. I remembered the Nobody Is Hurting Me, and I remembered the Sirens, and that was kind of it. I didn't remember anything else, so this sort of revitalized all my knowledge, and I realized I kind of just lied just then. I didn't realize I hadn't been introduced to the Odyssey until about a decade ago. Now, my first introduction to the Odyssey was through a little game called Bookworm Adventures, where the first 10 levels are Greek mythology, and the first half of those 10 levels are based on the Odyssey. The other half are based on the story of Heracles. Like, you get to fight, like, Polyphemus, Charybdis, and Circe. And it wasn't until, like, recently that that it clicked, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I knew about this before I got assigned that story in school. Oh, it's been here for me a long time, longer than I realized. Well, anyway, there's the ranking. I'm really excited to see what everyone is going to be going on to do next, or what all is going to be done with Epic after the now that the concept album is out and released, and I'm just very excited for what's to come. Anyway, do all of that YouTube algorithm stuff. Liking, commenting, subscribing. Discord is in the description down below if you want to come over there and hang out. And I will see you when I see you.
If I bleed tonight, if I am sad